The final premium live event of 2025 is right around the corner, and NXT is looking to end 2025 with a bang. And what better way to end 2025 than with the final premium live event of the year known as NXT Deadline, where once again they bring back the men's and the women's Iron Survivor Challenge. We will be talking about that later on in this video. But let's get down to business with the first match that is on the card that was announced last night on NXT, as Ethan Page will be defending the NXT North American title against AAA's very own Mr. Iguana. One of the, or arguably a fan favorite in AAA, who is a former and one of the longest reigning, from what I know, AAA mixed tag team champions of all time. In fact, I actually want to look that up. Mixed tag team championship. Here we are. Here we are. I believe the longest reign for the AAA Mixed Tag Team titles was held by Lady Maravilla and Villano the Third Junior? Yeah, I believe so. Held those titles for 800 days, which is kind of crazy, actually. I believe Mr. Iguana and La Hiedra held on to the tag team titles for 329 days, which is incredible. Just an incredible reign as tag team champions. And right now, the titles are currently being held by Chelsea Green and Ethan Page. And it's crazy because the AAA mixed tag team titles, they have a lot of rich history, but so does the NXT North American title. It has a lot of history dating all the way back to 2018 when Adam Cole, baby, first became North American champion at NXT TakeOver New Orleans all the way back in 2018 during WrestleMania weekend, which was a very historic night to say the very least. Fast forward 7 years later, and the NXT North American title will be defended once again, but this time against Mr. Iguana. Again, as I said, one of the biggest stars going in AAA right now. This rivalry has been going on for a hot minute now, and this all had to do with the fact that both Chelsea Green and Ethan Page took the mixed tag team titles off of Mr. Iguana and La Hedra a few weeks ago at one of AAA's events. Ow, sorry guys, my whole body's been stiff. That's what she said. Anyway, bad joke. I get it, bad joke. Anyway, so Mr. Iguana ended up with none other than Lola Vice, and La Hedra just turned heel on Mr. Iguana, and so now Mr. Iguana wants payback, and what better way to get that payback than by challenging for the NXT North American title? The crazy thing about this is that this is actually the first time since Halloween Havoc that Ethan Page had defended the title, and at Halloween Havoc, he actually did successfully retain the NXT North American title against none other than the AAA Latin American champion Elio del Dr. Wagner Jr. in a Day of the Dead match, which meant one thing: no countouts, no DQ, anything goes. Literally, that's literally what that match was all about. And this Saturday might just be the big turning point for Ethan Page, because he started 2025 with no gold whatsoever. So what better way to end 2025 than by retaining the NXT North American title? But again, as I said, in order to do that, he has to get past Mr. Iguana, and that is not going to be an easy task, because Mr. Iguana, he's had a lot of success on WWE soil. Obviously, yes, Halloween Havoc didn't really go as planned for Mr. Iguana, but all the other matches that Mr. Iguana has had on WWE soil, he has, out of every single one, he's won a vast majority of those matches. So history is definitely on the side of Mr. Iguana, but the question is, can Mr. Iguana pull it off? Can he become excuse me, can he become the NXT North American champion? And the answer is yes. However, because that Ethan Page is gonna have Chelsea Green in his corner, and of course Alba Fire in his corner, it's not gonna be an easy task. However, knowing Ethan Page, he'll probably find some way to cheat out of victory. So my money is gonna have to be on Ethan Page, solely because he will always find a way to retain the North American title. And I mean, who knows? He could potentially go down in history as the longest reigning North American champion of all time. He could have that luxury if he goes over a year. In fact, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, let's see, NXT North American Championship. Here we are. Let's see. I believe right now the person with the longest reign is Obafemi at 273 days, and I believe the second longest reign was Wes Lee, or Desmond Xavier, with 265 days, if I remember correctly. And so because of that, I believe if I'm not mistaken, yeah, 269 days. So let's see here. The top 4 longest reigns for the NXT North American title are as followed. Obafemi, number 1. Both Obafemi and Carmelo Hayes are tied for first at 273 days. Wesley is in third at 269 days. The Velveteen Dream is fourth place at 231 days, and now Ethan Page is sitting at fifth place at literally over 181 days. So there's definitely for Ethan Page, it's a chance at making history. He could potentially become the longest reigning champion of all time, but again, first up, he's got to get past Mr. Iguana, and I think he might just do that. So if I were to make a bold prediction, 100% Ethan Page. Next up, we have a match based on jealousy and hatred. Two former best friends, now turned bitter rivals, Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxley. Several weeks ago at Halloween Havoc, we saw Tatum Paxley do the unthinkable and become NXT Women's Champion. Fast forward a few weeks later, and Tatum Paxley gives JC Jane her return match at Gold Rush, and because of the culling, JC Jane is once again NXT Women's Champion. Last night on NXT, Izzy Dame said that she let Tatum Paxley become the NXT Women's Champion, which in my opinion, I feel like Izzy Dame turning on Tatum Paxley was a bad judgment call. Not on the Cullings part, but more so on the part of creative. And the reason why I say that is because Tatum Paxley felt like she was literally finding her rhythm with the culling. They had won so many matches together that Izzy Dame, that they chose to have the culling turn on Tatum Paxley, which again was a bad judgment call because now once again she's all alone. She has no friends. She has no one. She lost Lyra Valkyria when Lyra got drafted over to Monday Night Raw. She lost Ivy Nile after Ivy also went over to Monday Night Raw. She lost Shotzi and Shotzi Blackheart and Gigi Dolan when they both got released of their contracts earlier this year. She lost more friends than she's gained friends, which I don't know if it's her having bad luck or if it's just her picking and choosing her friends at the right place at the wrong time. That's something that I don't even know. But to be fair, Tatum Paxley is going to have a tall task ahead of her because she's going to have to deal with both Nico Vance and Shawn Spears at ringside. But then again, Izzy Dame, she's going to have a tall task ahead of her as well because she's going to be going up against a very a very emotional and a very pissed off Tatum Paxley, and I can guarantee you that Tatum is not gonna be taken lightly going into this Saturday. I will say though, I think in my opinion, we could be looking at the match that will steal the entire show. And the reason why I say that is because we still have the men's and the women's Iron Survivor challenges, but we also still have as well the NXT title match, which we'll talk about that here in a little bit. And so with those taking place, with the North American title being on the card as well. This match has the potential to not only steal the show, but it also gives. But because that JC Jane is not scheduled to defend the NXT Women's Title this Saturday, this puts a lot of pressure on both Tatum and Izzy, because whoever wins, they could be in line for a future shot at the NXT Women's Title, potentially sometime between now and New Year's Evil, because New Year's Evil, JC Jane has to defend the NXT Women's Title against whoever wins the Women's Iron Survivor Challenge, and it's not gonna be pretty. Like, whoever wins, they're not gonna come out the same. I can guarantee you that. But because that Tatum Paxley is has become super emotional over the last couple weeks, and because that Izzy Dame is more calm, she's cool, she's collected, and she knows what she's gonna be doing in the ring. 100%, 100% the victory has to go to Izzy Dame, because of that reason. She's been so methodical with her plan to literally cut Tatum Paxley out of the culling, and now the question becomes, after Deadline, what's going to be next for Tatum Paxley? Who knows? But that brings us to the men's and the women's Iron Survivor Challenge matches. And for those who have not watched NXT over the last few years, the rules for the Iron Survivor Challenge is very simple. This will work vaguely similar to the men's and the women's Royal Rumble matches, but with an added twist. So the rules are simple. There will be 25 minutes on the clock, and the superstar and the stars that drew the first two spots will start the match. Every 5 minutes, another superstar will enter the match, and this will go on until all 5 superstars are in the match. A decision can be earned by pinfall or submission, and whoever gets the fall will get a point. The person that they pinned or they made tap out must take a punishment of going into the penalty box for 90 seconds. Once the 90 seconds is up, they are allowed to get back into the match and continue on. This goes on until the 25 minutes have elapsed, and the superstar with the most falls will go to New Year's Evil, and on the women's side will challenge for the NXT Women's Title, and on the men's side, the NXT title at New Year's Evil. For the women, John Cena, the 17-time champ, now former Intercontinental Champion, has chosen, very interestingly, to say the very least. So on the women's side, you've got Sol Ruka, Lola Vice, Kalani Jordan, the former TNA Knockouts champion, Jordan Grace, and the current Evolve Women's Champion, Kendall Gray. On the men's side, John Cena has chosen Leon Slater, the TNA X Division Champion, Javon Evans, Joe Hendry, Dion Lennox, one fourth, if you will, of the NXT Tag Team Champions, and of course Miles Bourne. So this is actually very interesting because with the men's and the women's Iron Survivor challenges, it's always the question of who's the odds-on favorite. And on the men's side, 100% it's Javon Evans. 100% he is the odds-on favorite to win the match. The wild card of the match has to be Leon Slater because of the fact that he's still signed with TNA, and the fact that he's being and with the fact that he's competing in a WWE style match is just crazy. The dark horse. Think about this, right? You would think that it would be Dion Lennox, but crazy enough, it is Miles Bourne. And the only reason why I believe him to be the dark horse of the match is because everybody has seemed to have forgotten that he learned so much from being a part of the NQCC, the no quarter catch crew, when it was originally led by none other than Drew Gulak, who was once a part of WWE for several years, ended up getting fired for very interesting reasons, to say the very least. But if you guys don't know, the original NQCC was Drew Gulak, Charlie Dempsey, Miles Bourne, and Damon Kemp, who, if you can believe it, I found out is the brother of Olympic gold medalist Gabe Stevenson. I don't remember his name. Gable Stevenson. He's actually the older brother of Olympic gold medalist Gable Stevenson. Which is kind of crazy. I never would have imagined. Never would have imagined, right? Who would have ever thought? But excuse me, but originally, I believe originally that was the original NQCC, and then when Drew Gulak left, Tavion Heights came into the fold, and then obviously Ren Sinclair. Now Tavion, and then I think Tavion Heights got involved. Damon Kemp ended up leaving. Now the NQCC is just simply Kendall Gray, Charlie Dempsey, and Ren Sinclair, or as Ren calls it, the Ren QCC, which is kind of dumb. Anyway, moving on. People forget that Miles Bourne has truly found his calling, not Colleen. Trying not to get shit confused with the culling, but he's found his way, I guess, if you will, in NXT, and people are starting to notice Miles Bourne as a major player in NXT, and between these five, I mean, it's like, who do you see walking out as the Iron Survivor? And on the men's side, it has to be either Javon Evans or Joe Hendry. But I feel like, between the two, it has to be Javon Evans, because Joe Hendry, he's already had his opportunity at the NXT title, and everyone else, it's gonna be a while before they all end up getting title opportunities. What better way for Javon Evans to have a great start to 2026 than by ending 2025 as the Iron Survivor? And what better way to start off 2026 than by having him become the NXT champion? And as far as the women's side goes, 100% the odds-on favorite is Sol Ruka. The wild card would have to be Jordan Grace, and the odds-on favorite and the dark horse Kendall Gray. Obviously, because of the fact that Kendall Gray has only been a part of WWE for, I want to say, maybe a year and a half now, and she's already become the Evolve Women's Champion. That makes her a potential threat to be such a very powerful talent, if that makes sense. She has the potential to be a threat to the entire NXT women's division, even in spite of the fact that the first two winners of LFG, Tyra May Steele and Skylar Ray, or Danny Sikelski, they won LFG, but they're not even featured on NXT. They haven't been featured in a minute. So that says a lot. That says a lot. But as far as as far as who wins though, I think it has to be Lola Vice. As much as I would love to see Sol Ruka win the Iron Survivor Challenge, I think it has to be Lola Vice, because she needs to be the NXT Women's Champion. Because if she wins the Iron Survivor Challenge, and she goes on to win the NXT Women's title, excuse me, then all the years of training, the hard work, it will all pay off. But if she wins the Iron Survivor Challenge and loses the opportunity and loses the NXT Women's title, excuse me, the question becomes, where does Lola Vice go from here? What's next for Vice City? Honestly, no one knows. No one knows. But that brings us to the NXT title, which we found out last night that it will be kicking off NXT Deadline this Saturday. So there is a lot of pressure on both Ricky Saints and Obafemi, and this is a rematch, I believe, from No Mercy. Yep, a rematch from No Mercy. So this is going to be Obafemi's one and only chance to make things right. But this is a much more dangerous, a much more vicious version of Obafemi that we've seen ever. And we knew the moment Obafemi won the NXT Breakout Tournament a couple of years ago, we all knew that he was going to be a major star in WWE, and he kind of is. I mean the guy. He won the NXT Breakout Tournament. He cashed it in to become the NXT North American Champion. Had a lengthy run as champion, and now, and obviously he had a pretty decent run as the NXT champion. And so for Obafemi, what better way to end 2025 than the same way he than by the same way that he started 2025, winning the NXT title. That would be a pretty good year for Obafemi, but for sorry guys, it's my speech impairment, my disability is not letting me speak. Let's restart that. For Obafemi, what better way to end 2025 than the same way he started 2025, than by becoming NXT champion? For Ricky Saints, it's all about ending 2025 on a high note. Who wins? Honestly, it's too hard to call. This is a much more different version of Obafemi than we've seen. He's more vicious. He's more hungry. I think Obafemi might take it, but at the same time, we're still pretty young into Ricky Saints' reign as NXT champion. At this point, I really cannot call it. I can't predict. If I were to predict, I would probably say Ricky Saints. But at the same time, that's just a fantasy, right? That's like a fantasy prediction. If we're thinking realistically, I would have to say Obafemi. But on that note, that will do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more premium live event predictions and results in the future, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all of my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.